Hi, and welcome to Say Grace, Food for Thought and Hospitality. I'm Steve Palmer, and I invite you to join me as we explore the stories behind leaders in the hospitality industry and beyond. Say Grace is a place to reflect, connect, and savor thoughtful narratives. Everyone has a seat at our table. So pull up a chair and let's discover the transformative power of hospitality together. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Say Grace. We're coming to you today from Philadelphia at the Chef's Conference. And I'm so excited to reconnect with Ellen Yin. I'm going to read your bio now. Ellen is the co-founder and founder and co-owner of High Street Hospitality, a powerhouse in the dining scene with restaurants in Philadelphia, New York, Washington, D.C. Her portfolio includes acclaimed establishments like Fork, High Street Restaurant and Bakery, a.kitchen+bar, and the Wonton Project. A respected leader in hospitality, Ellen was named Outstanding Restaurateur by the James Beard Foundation in 2023. Beyond her restaurants, Ellen is committed to community service, supporting organizations like Bakers Against Racism, Everybody Eats Philadelphia, and Let's Talk. She also co-chairs Sisterly Love Collection, Empowering Women in Hospitality. Yin is also the author of Folklore, Recipes and Tales from an American Bistro, which was chronicled her journey in the restaurant industry. Ellen, welcome to Say Grace.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
I'm good. It's so good to have you.
Thank you.
We met on a panel in Aspen. Was that 2018?
I think it was 2018.
Yeah. Wow. God.
Maybe even 2019. I'm not sure.
Right. Think about how much the world is changed. Good. Little did we know.
Right. Actually, 5 years ago, I guess 5 years ago, I was at the Chef Conference, and that was one of the last major events before the city shut down.
Oh, wow.
And I just remember that moment thinking, I wonder if I'm going to get COVID here. But I mean, actually, it was really a memorable moment because I do remember that it all kind of changed right after this conference.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. We were doing the Charleston Wine and Food Festival.
Right.
And I was chairman of the board, I think, at that time. And it was like, do we do the festival? And we did, but that was on the 5th, 6th, or 7th. By the 17th, the governor had, so within a week of the festival. And I, too, was like, are we all going to get COVID here? There's a lot of people here.
Right, exactly.
So,
I was supposed to go to that, in fact.
Yeah. Well, so tell me, how did you end up in the food industry? Because you didn't immediately come into it. You went to big fancy colleges and were going to do big fancy things, and you've done big fancy things, but you did them.
Not really, but I will say that I'm just like thousands of other people in this industry that started out in high school working in a restaurant. For me, I really didn't get this theme of my life until recently, but the restaurant industry was the first place I really truly felt a sense of belonging.
Me too.
So
Me too.
My parents moved to a town when I was in 6th grade, and I didn't know anybody. So I already felt like an outsider, but it was also a mostly non-Asian community. And so I even felt more like an outsider. And I didn't really click with anybody in 6th grade. That's like one of those years when
awkward years.
And I ended up getting a job at this French restaurant around the corner from me. And immediately I just felt part of a team, something that I had never really felt before. And so, I always had this little bit of loving to serve people. When my mother had a party or anything like that, I loved being part of it. And so I just fell in love with the industry at that point. I was a bus girl. I was a co-check girl. They taught me how to bartend. They taught me how to serve. And even when I went to college, I went kicking and screaming. I really wanted to be at home working at this restaurant. So I would just keep coming home. And, I noticed that, I obviously was changing because, I turned 20. And then I ended up staying in Philadelphia and working in a restaurant right 2 blocks from this hotel,
Oh,
actually.
wow.
Yeah. And I continued doing that until I graduated. My parents were adamant that and I also knew at that point I could not own a restaurant, but I already had it in my mind that I wanted to own a restaurant.
Oh, wow.
So it was in my blood. And then, I knew no one was going to help me. My parents weren't going to help me. No one was going to give me money. And so I just started working in advertising and in fundraising, and then realized that none of those things really spoke to me still, and decided to go back to grad school thinking that would be a solution. Still couldn't find it. And eventually I thought to myself, if I'm working this hard, why not try opening a restaurant? And so I
So
quit
you
my
went
job.
straight out of college or grad school into owning your own business?
Well, that was probably 5 years after grad school. So I
Okay.
had saved up, like, not very much money, but I had saved a little bit, enough to like put my own money in, have a partner who put the same money in. And my partner was a Wharton graduate also, but he was a financial manager and had a much better sense. I'm not a finance person. Wharton graduates lots of people,
Right.
and everyone thinks that they all know finance. I'm not one of those people. So
And your first restaurant was?
Fork was my first restaurant.
Okay.
And we just
Here in Philadelphia.
yeah, and we
Okay.
just lucked out. Sometimes you're in the right place at the right time, and the city was shifting at that time. They just widened the sidewalk walks in our area of town, and I thought to myself, this is an area that has no restaurants. Perhaps it has potential, and
Wow.
worked something out, and you know, somehow it all worked out. Somehow, with a lot of hard work and a lot of ups and downs, of course, but uh, you know, it was something that I just thought, if I can make it last a year or 5 years, I'll be a great success. And then, what happens when you open a restaurant and you're successful, then people start knocking on your door.
Right.
And if you're, a entrepreneur, it's really hard to say no.
It is. I say no more than people think I say no. But so, what was your, backing up just a second? What was your vision for Fork? I mean, I don't think I knew this about you. So like, I have even much more respect for you. I didn't know that it was that quick.
Mm.
How did you get? I mean, what was your? How did you get the inspiration to say this is the restaurant I want to do?
Mm. Well, one thing I always knew was I loved the environment of the restaurant. Like I said, first place
Me
I felt
too.
this belonging. So I just wanted to recreate that. It didn't really matter whether it was going to be a French restaurant or Asian restaurant or
Okay.
whatever. But I knew I'm not a chef. I mean, like I love cooking, but I'm not a chef. So I knew I had to find a chef. And so that's like finding a needle in a haystack.
No, even more so
Especially if you
today.
have no experience.
Right.
But I was introduced to a woman who had been a chef at a restaurant where I had previously worked, and someone introduced us, and we decided that we would open this restaurant together. And our vision was a place where people felt a sense of professionalism. So as I was interviewing people, I know that I'm a professional person, but as I was interviewing people, I found that a lot of front of house people felt that they were not respected in the industry, that
Mm.
they didn't feel that this was a long-term career. And I thought to myself, well, that's really interesting. They don't have any sense of security, they don't have any benefits, and this is something that I really felt strongly about. And so I don't think I ever really thought about it that way until recently, but that was the impetus for creating an environment where people feel respected. Mutual respect is like one of our huge values.
Right.
And of course, having a quality product and, great service. Back then, having great service was, this is the mid 90s, and having great service is still an important tenet of a great restaurant. But, back then, I think it was even more important because it was only the beginning of the kind of star chef
Right.
era.
And were you surprised, good or bad, when you opened to the response? Were you busy right away?
I would call up my partner and I would say, Roberto, you have to like invite everybody you know to come in the restaurant. And one thing, I never do, and I always tell every young person is don't burn any bridges.
Yes.
So, every segment of my career that I had, I worked in advertising, I worked in nonprofit, I worked for Thomas Jefferson, I worked in consulting. I mean, it sounds like a lot, but it was all short stints.
Sure,
But
sure.
I never burned any bridges, and so all these people I would invite to the restaurant, and slowly it started to take hold.
I know this is common for not all entrepreneurs. Did you have a sense of imposter syndrome? Did you kind of always know it was going to work out, or did you just were you as you started to get busier, were you sort of looking around going, "Wow, this might actually work"?
Well, I was lucky because one of my mentors in my non-restaurant career kind of threw me into all these projects that I had no business being part of. Like, I my MBA is in healthcare management,
Right.
and I didn't know anything about healthcare management. I mean, like, nobody knows anything when you're 27 years old, right?
Right, right.
So, he would put me on these projects where I like had no idea what I was talking about, and I would have to like quickly adjust and figure out how to be an imposter, so to speak.
Right.
And I didn't really have imposter syndrome the way I have it now.
It's worse than it's ever been, actually, for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, when you're younger, you have way more confidence than you think that
Yes.
you than you ought to have. So, of course, I thought, well, things are going really well. I really don't know what I'm doing, but I'm figuring it out. And then you hit a point where you think that you know what you're doing, and you then realize pretty quickly that you don't know what you're doing.
Amen.
So it goes in waves. And today I was listening to one of the panelists talk about, resiliency. And when you think about like our career,
Right.
9/11, 2008
Hmm.
recession.
Yep.
My mother had a massive stroke. My business partner was on a train accident and became quadriplegic.
Oh God, Ellen,
I
I
opened a
didn't.
restaurant in New York City, and that was, during his accident. And, all these things that like I didn't really think tariffs we're going to have to deal with it. I mean,
Yeah.
we have no control over it
Right.
over it. So we're going to have to be resilient about it and figure it out. I mean, the business model is going to change, and we're going to, just like we did through the pandemic. And by the way, thank you for all your contributions on IRC, the Independent Restaurant
Yep.
Coalition. But we're going to adapt and shift and change. And that's what being
That-
in business is, I think.
Yeah. Do you find?
And I don't mean to make it sound like I accept all these things,
Oh
but I
no,
but
but
I also don't feel like I can change anything.
yeah. I mean, if our prices go up next week, whether we agree with it or not, we're going to have to deal with it.
Well, we dealt with bird flu.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it does at times feel, um, yeah, it's just never been harder to operate. You used the word resilience. I'm going to come back to that because do you think you can train? I've been in this conversation about grit and resilience.
Hmm.
As we of a certain age opine about our generation, and we look to the younger generations, I've heard a lot of chefs say there doesn't seem to be the resilience that there used to be. Do you find that to be true?
I would say that it's in there because I think it's like a muscle that you can exercise and develop. I mean, you have to push yourself a little bit if you want to be resilient. I mean, I think it all comes down to what each person wants. I mean, if you want to become more resilient, there are ways that you can develop resiliency. Some of us we don't have a choice. And, you
Right.
know, maybe my peers, I don't have any children, but maybe in the process of, always wanting to do better for your kids, maybe we're at a point in our, in our society where maybe our previous, the current, younger people maybe have been able to have more luxury than we did. I mean, like,
No question.
like we lived in a house where the heat was 58 degrees, and like right now I'm like I can't even deal with it if it's 68. I'm
Right.
freezing.
Right.
Um, Even that small little resiliency, or like, knowing that, we would never leave food on the plate because there were starving children in the
Yeah.
world.
Oh yeah. Oh
It's
yeah.
like,
Very
you
yes.
know, but I do think that it's something that you can develop if you want to develop it. And I think, you know, just after the themes of today is that you are the person who controls your destiny.
Absolutely. We just did our leadership conference. We do it every year, and the title was "Write Your Own Story."
Hmm.
One of the biggest pieces of leadership for me right now is trying to instill in our executive chefs and GMs that you are the author of your experience. I mean, I we are providing a platform, but
Hmm.
in the Indigo Road, there's a lot of autonomy within the four walls.
Hmm.
If you're not happy about how the culture, well, you only need to look in the mirror.
Hmm.
But trying to instill that idea is ongoing.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot. I'm involved with a women's organization called Sisterly Love Collective, and there's a lot of women who are fledgling business owners, and a lot of them grew out of the pandemic. They were cottage businesses,
Right.
and what I find is that sometimes people are looking for support, and of course, our organization provides training, education, opportunities. But if if you want to change something about your business, you're the one who drives.
Yeah.
You can turn the car on or don't turn the car on. You can
Right.
turn left or not. And so, just giving people that, reminding people of that, because there's a lot of victim sometimes mentality
Yes.
where woe is me. I can't do anything about it. This is out of my control. No, I refuse to think that way.
Me too.
And I'm always thinking to myself, okay, if things aren't going the way I want to, what can I do to change it? And how do I convince everybody else that that's what needs to happen?
That's right. That's right. So Fork is working, and it's
28 years old, but
yeah, yeah.
it's
No, no. So I'm yeah. 28 years old is unbelievable. Oak, our first restaurant is 20, and
Mhm.
we have a 6-month-old restaurant and a 20-year-old, and it's so interesting. But when you were a couple of years old in this journey, I don't know what was going on in Philadelphia at that time, but is it fair to say you were one of the few female restaurant owners at that time?
I feel that way now. I mean, it feels more isolating now
Oh,
than it,
sorry.
it ever did, even though I know that there are way more women business owners, but maybe they're a different form. And I mean, obviously, the majority of business of restaurants have been not owned by women, but
Yeah.
I think it's like, for me, I think it's a no-brainer. Is like, you can control your own destiny, you can control your schedule. If you have children, you can
r-
work around it.
Right.
Why wouldn't you want to be an entrepreneur? But
And
not
had
everybody wants that.
no, and at that point, did you? I mean, I think that would be a moment for you to feel very proud. I mean, did you have that sense of like, I'm a bit of a trailblazer, I'm cutting a path for future women? Because
uh,
now I know a lot of women in the industry look at you as that person.
well, it's interesting because, honestly, I don't think that I ever thought of myself as a woman in a man's world, because um, even though I knew that I was in the minority, I'm just going to say this. At the time that I was at Wharton, it was 25% women. Now it's 50% women. But you, and I think one of the panelists today was talking about how, our generation, maybe we just adapted. And I always knew that I was different, but I never focused it as that as being a point of either success or failure. Let's put it that way.
Right.
And whether I'm male or female, I still have to do the same things to succeed.
Right.
I still have to be able to manage people, manage financing, manage all the things that we do as entrepreneurs. And maybe my approach is slightly different. Maybe I'm not growing as quickly as everybody else, but maybe I don't want to grow as fast as everyone else. And I think, again, it's like you can look at social media and see all these things of what you think you want to be. But if you don't know what is involved with getting to that point, I mean, I don't think I ever thought of myself as a multi-restaurant owner, to be quite honest.
Right. I never thought of myself as a restaurant owner at all, and look how that went.
Right.
Yeah, and
I
you know
love
that's
that.
that's what I love though about our industry is there's such a wide breadth of who and what you can be. You can own a food truck.
Mm-hmm.
You can own one restaurant that's so deeply personal you would never imagine owning a second one. And I have friends like that, and they of course look at me like there's something wrong with me. But I want everybody to win, and I see everybody. So everybody has a very personal approach in this space that I find inspiring. But you did decide to do more, and so what came next?
Well, I think after 15 years, as a non-chef again, you sometimes feel that first of all, I was always presented with opportunities to grow. And our first opportunity to grow was to expand our footprint. So we expanded to the space next door. We opened a takeout space and cafe, and then we opened a private dining room and a bakery, all on this campus. But it was still one property. It was still only one place, and it was
Right.
very manageable. But people kept coming up to me and saying, "Hey, do you want to open this? Do you want to open that?" And then there was also for me as a non-chef owner, the fact that anybody can. I felt a little bit like I was being held hostage. I mean, first of all, every chef that has worked with me as a chef, I call them all partners
Right.
because really they are like making decisions as if they were a partner.
Yep.
They would come in for 4 to 5 years and then either want to own their own place or move or be burned out or whatever.
Right.
And
Now that 4 to 5 years is 1 to 2 years.
right, exactly. But I really felt like if I don't find somebody who's going to be a long-term partner, that I'm just going to be in this position forever and ever and ever. And
Right.
what I learned is that chefs want to also grow. And when I met Eli Culp, also one of my business partners, I could see his ambition. I mean, he's a force of nature, and I just was like incredibly lucky to meet him at the time that we met, and we kind of transformed Fork into like a new concept. And then we took the cafe and morphed that into High Street, which became one of the first all-day cafes. Before all day cafe was even,
Right.
became a term. And then we took over operating a kitchen and bar in AKA Rittenhouse Square. And
Okay.
that was our first kind of beverage centric project. So we never had, our portfolio for spirits and wine was fairly minimal. And this was someplace where we partnered with the hotel. So it was
Mhm.
not 100% on us. And in a great location. It's like right smack in the
I
downtown
love,
of
yeah, I
Philadelphia.
love Rittenhouse. I love Rittenhouse.
Rittenhouse Square. Yeah, it's an incredible location. And so I thought to myself, I said, Eli, if this is a test to see if we can manage a property that's 6 blocks instead of next door.
Right.
And now we've been there 10 years.
Congratulations.
And we expanded with them to a new hotel in Washington, D.C.
How's that going?
Well, we opened in September 2024, and
Okay.
things were going great until the election, and then it's been learning a new city. So it's a little bit more like my first restaurant in that I don't when we opened in New York, I at least knew a lot of people, but in
Right.
DC, I know less people. So just trying to meet as many people as possible. You know what it's like to open in a new market.
I do, and we opened Oku in DC, in Union Market, and we were way early, before Steven Starr's there now, Pastis is there, Keith just opened Minetta. We opened 5 years ago, and everybody, oh, it's coming, and this was DC is as far north, and we struggled. I
Mhm.
mean, one of our operating partners moved there for 2 years just to make sure we didn't fail.
Right,
I mean,
right.
it's hard.
Well, the operating environment is really difficult right now, as you
Mhm.
know, and the Restaurant Association of Washington, D.C. said 40% of independent restaurants are going to close, in their opinion,
Yeah,
which is really harsh.
it is. It is. And I don't, we have 4 years more on our lease, and the challenge there is, we do plenty of business, but we're a lot less profitable than our other places. The minimum wage and the taxes, the rents. So it's been a tough road, and I hate it because the restaurant is busy.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know. We don't know what. Yeah, I'm talking like we've made decisions, but DC's tough.
Yeah.
DC is tough, and going through COVID and the civil unrest, having businesses in DC,
Hmm.
it was scary.
Right. Well, I'm scared, but
I think we're all a little scared right now,
right,
Ellen.
right,
I mean, I just one day at a time,
right. Exactly. One day at a time.
one day at a time. How, what is that? How is owning? If you could talk to your younger self when you were at one and about to start growing,
Mhm.
what's the thing you would say?
Well, believe it or not, I think number two is the hardest,
It is. I agree.
because most people who open a number two don't have any systems in place,
Right.
and you don't have the operating history of having a multiple situation, and so that is definitely the hardest. So don't give up.
Right.
I mean, it does get easier as you like scale up, but you still have to be adamant, about having those systems in place. And
Hmm.
I think that's one of the most difficult things. I don't know about you, but when I guess Charleston and Nashville, maybe a little bit different because you had the outside, and so you were really busy. So you didn't have this situation where you closed or slowed down, and people just felt, well, I don't need to follow the system. There is no system.
Right.
There's no business, so we don't need to follow any system.
That's right.
Then guess what? If you're not paying 100% attention. And at that time I felt very strongly, well, this is an opportunity for the team that I have to grow and like increase their responsibility and like let me not be micromanaging every
Right.
every situation. I'm kidding, of course, but seriously, for them to like build their skills and kind of let them run the show. And maybe I didn't look as carefully whether they were following certain procedures or not. And so
Uh,
then you have to like take a step back and re-implement and retrain and redo all those things. And I think that's when the business isn't busy,
mm.
it's that is a danger for sure.
It's so much harder to manage a slow restaurant than a busy
Right,
one.
exactly.
So you've seen a lot of change. I have. The last 10 years, I mean, do you think we're headed into a better direction as an industry or a worse one?
Well,
I
somebody
mean, we
said
had
that.
sort of had the Me Too
Mhm.
reckoning, if you will. Mental health is obviously now we're talking about it. COVID. So there's been a lot, sort
Mhm.
of big dynamic shifts.
Right. But we still haven't talked about our business model.
I know.
And that is my biggest disappointment out of all the changes that have come out is that we all said during 2020, our business model has to change. And effectively, it really hasn't in the majority
No.
of cases. And this is a major problem. I mean, just listening today about consumer education, about cancellations, about um, proper price charging, and having consumers understand what is going into our product and
Right.
how much it costs for us to produce the experiences that we produce. The fact that it's still so competitive. I mean, it's not like during COVID, people stopped opening restaurants. People just continued to open
Right.
restaurants,
Right.
and the experience is shifting and morphing, but yet we're still in this situation where, our profit margins are typically less than 15%.
Yeah. I mean, we made less money in 24 than in 23. No question.
Well, lots of people, I mean, like your experienced operator. I mean, there are tons of people out there who, I mean, like, let's face it, the reason why the restaurant industry has such high failure rates is because really there's a range of probably minus 30% to plus 30%.
Right.
And, the bulk of the people making 0 to 5%.
Yeah, I would agree. And what's interesting, we're getting calls from operators who've been open for a while and they're not making any money, and they're wanting us to, come save them. And I'm like, we're focused on what we're doing. But I do, it always breaks my heart a little bit when because I've always said what we do is art, and it's the intersection of art and commerce,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's when an artist paints a beautiful painting,
Right.
he usually gives it to a curator to sell because they're so attached to it.
Right,
Well,
right.
I used to have this conversation with chefs, like, this is beautiful, but somebody's got to want to buy it, right? And it's got to work within an ever constraining margin for us for any of this to make sense. And I recently know an investor who invested millions of dollars with a chef with no pro forma, no budget, and the restaurant's closing. And it's really my hope for our industry would be a way to capitalism is this really ugly word, right, for a lot of people, and yet we'll talk about sustainability, but finances we have to be profitable,
Right,
or it's
exactly.
not sustainable.
Exactly.
And that doesn't seem in all of the art and the drama and the theater and all the beauty that is our industry, and it is beautiful. We're not mentoring and growing. And so when you talk about the business model changing, what does that look like for you? In Ellen's perfect world, what is the perfect business model for us?
Well, I still think
I hope you have an answer.
I don't know, obviously, just like many other people don't know. But I
Right.
do think that there is an issue with the labor model and service charges and tips. And there has to be some way to reorganize it, just like many other businesses do that are non-hospitality businesses that pay commissions, that incentivize people to create an experience. We are not the only customer service
Right.
experience. Just like we are not the only people who work on the weekends, and we are not the only people who work at night. So there has to be a way to figure out what that looks like. And I mean, another restaurateur said to me, especially in Philadelphia, Philadelphia is still one of the lowest minimum wages in the country. It's $7.25, I believe, in Pennsylvania. No one's paying anyone $7.25, so
Right.
I mean, it doesn't really mean anything. But the tip wage is $2.83 an hour, and we want to provide an equitable wage structure for all employees, and it's really hard to change things when I think that the biggest opportunity is for new businesses to make changes versus Oak.
Right.
I mean, like, okay, you're going to have a revolt on your hands if you try to change the business model.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, we have waiters that have been there 20 years.
Right,
They don't want anything to change.
right, right. So that makes it really hard.
Right, yeah.
So either the government has to step in and change something about the way things are, or new businesses have to come in and force changes to happen. And, that's really hard because, younger people are trying different things. I'm sure, have you heard of Her Place Supper Club? She has like she's the most efficient business model in the sense that she gets 2 seatings a night. Like most of us, we don't seat in seatings where everybody
Right.
sits down at the same time and everybody eats the same thing. So
Right.
it's like a dinner party. This is a brilliant business model, right? Restaurants typically don't operate in that way.
Right.
And so it's refreshing to see someone young and innovative trying something different to make the business work. And my hope is that somehow we figure out what those numbers look like and either solicit Wharton or some other,
Right. Right.
students who have less restrictions in their mind, to seeing what the answer could be.
How would you define success for yourself now versus maybe what you thought when you started growing your business success was going to be?
Well, for me, success is always about happiness. So if
Okay.
you love what you're doing, then you're happy, right?
Right.
For me, I love work. So I never feel like I'm a workaholic. I never feel like
Yeah, me
I
too.
just love what I'm doing. I'm being creative. I'm doing my thing. I'm like connecting with people that I really enjoy talking to. I don't feel like I am doing any disservice to myself. Of course, we all, get fried sometimes, and
Right. Sure.
we all need to have mental health breaks and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot, myself included. But yeah, I lost track of the question.
That's
Sorry.
it. You're good. You're good. You're good. I was asking about success.
Oh, right. So, but I do think that, so many people quit their jobs during COVID because they weren't happy with what they were doing.
Right.
So it's all about creating an environment for yourself where you feel like you are meeting your personal goals and, however you define happiness, whether it's usually not making a ton of money because
Right.
there are tons of people who make lots of money who are still miserable.
Right.
So you can't define your personal mission based on that. It has to be about what you do and whether you're meeting your values and your personal goals.
I like that. What's the thing you're most proud of?
Oh my God, I love my team so much.
Mm,
So I love it when I see, just like you have people who've been with you for years,
years.
but I love it when I see them being in high school and then deciding that this is their career and growing and, becoming a success and becoming an operator. And, even if they don't stay with me, when I see them around the city, becoming their own chefs, hearing other chefs talk about them and talking about how well they're doing in their career. And I think that that's something that our industry definitely needs is more career development opportunities and opportunities for people to grow. And I always love seeing your leadership conference on social media.
Yeah.
I want to come to one of those.
Please
sometime.
do. No, I'm serious. I invite all these people. I'm like, you should come, and come, hang out, bring your team. We'd love that. We would love to have you. It is I will tell you, it's called Coffee and Culture. So I travel around, and I just talk about our values and like who we are, and then I ask questions, and I normally don't get any questions. But the other day, somebody raised their hand and said, after what you've done, what do you enjoy the most? And it's exactly when I see an employee, when that light bulb comes on for them, and I see the passion and I see the excitement, there's nothing that touches that because I love this so much. And one of our big whys, right? We all have read the Simon Sinek book, Start With Why. Growing a company like this does provide career in a way that, when you were coming, this compensation ceiling was pretty low. Restaurant manager, when I was coming up 50, 60,000 a year, that was kind of it. And now, to be able to say you could become an area director, you could become a culinary
Mm.
director. We have a director of culture, Chris Amato, who is amazing, who just makes sure that everywhere we go, that we are who we say we are. Like
Right.
trying to provide a world where, hey, if this is what you want to do, stay with us.
Mhm. Mhm.
And we have some people leave, although there's a saying now, I did not coin this, called the Indigo Road boomerang effect, where people leave and now they're starting to come back.
I have
Uh,
that also, but I love what you were saying today during your chat with Stephanie Wu about internal hospitality, because
yeah,
that really is what defines your culture, and
100%.
it's not about giving you complete control over like it's not about just letting people do whatever they want.
No.
It's about creating an environment where people feel that they can voice their opinion
Mhm.
without recourse, where they feel like they can create a structured environment where they can succeed, and and also have a culture of accountability.
Right.
um, that's the hardest part, because when we talk about internal culture, people are like, oh, well, I mean, that's about being nice. No, it's not just about being
Right.
nice.
It's like we often we'll have to talk about whatever, writing somebody up, holding someone to account. Well, I thought we cared about our employees, and I'm
Right.
always like, right, and we care about our best employees. And by the way, they show up to work on time, and they don't like that you don't,
Right.
and they don't like that we're not doing anything about it.
Mhm.
It's somewhere along this 5 or 6 year, whatever this period has been, this time warp, times twilight zone. Yeah, I've really had to redefine for a lot of our team that, like, we do care about people, but we care about our best people too.
Mhm.
And isn't it sad, really, that it's usually your best people that get the least of your time?
Right.
We're so busy doing whatever with our underperforming
Mhm.
people,
Right.
that our best people feel neglected. Um, Tell me about, so you won a James Beard Award,
I did.
and that's a
Mhm.
big deal. Outstanding restaurateur. Um, a category that I've been nominated for, but I'm always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Tell me how that felt. I mean, that had to be incredibly validating for you, or I mean, was it
Talk
some
about imposter syndrome. First of
right?
all, like Steve, I'm sorry, but like, you should be up there. And
Well,
I mean,
those mysteries will never quite be revealed, but
obviously it was incredible to be there, and incredible to be there with my entire team, and for them to also be validated. I mean, for me, I don't think that winning an award tells me my personal worth or not,
right, of
but
course.
but it means something for them and for their hard work to be part of this experience. And to me, restaurateur is about building the best team builder and the best, um, not best, I would say, someone who's really good at nurturing the team and then taking that and bringing it out to the community.
Yes.
And so, I don't know. I was nominated multiple times, and Joanne Clevenger just said always to me, Ellen, don't worry about whether you win or lose. Just keep getting invited to the party. Keep doing what you're doing and do it well. And like, don't focus on whether you win or lose, right?
Right.
Or don't
And were
win,
you able to do that?
not lose, win or not win.
Right.
And in a way, I was always just like, "Oh, God, I hope I don't win. I hope, I don't want, I don't want to be up there. I don't want to be up there." And then, one day I was just like, "Oh my God, I feel like it's, there's a chance that I might be up there. I better be prepared." I don't want to not be able to acknowledge people. And I'm not a public speaker. And I was just really nervous, I
Right.
think. So
You sounded
anyway,
great.
well,
I watched
thanks.
the feed. You
Thank you.
sounded great. Who's been your biggest mentor?
Biggest mentor.
Who do you look? I mean, I think all of us have lots of mentors. Is there one person that you're like, that person was transitional for me? And have you been able to be that for somebody else?
I have a couple people that I would say are incredible mentors. One of them was only 30 at the time. Gia from Foxglove Communications. I don't know if you know each other.
I don't.
Um, Gia Vecchio. She's incredible, and I mean, I could probably be her mother, but but she just is so thoughtful and encouraging and made me always feel like I could do it. So, to a certain extent, I consider her one of my mentors. Um, uh, Randy Weinstein from Charleston.
Really?
Yeah,
I was with
Randy.
Weinstein last night. I call her by her last. She calls me Palmer, and I call her Weinstein.
Randy, Steve, I know you're a huge supporter of Fab.
Yeah.
And I
And
will,
I've never written so many checks to something I'm not allowed to attend.
well, that's not
lots of
true.
our team attends. I'm just kidding.
I would just say that was one of the most empowering conferences that I had ever attended. And it was probably the thing that changed my trajectory the most. I've been going ever
Wow.
since 2018, I
I
think.
think that's when she started. Yeah.
And I just think Randy, during the pandemic, she connected different people and really connected people. And I just admire her so much and appreciate what she brings to the table. I also have, other mentors. I mean, my business partner, both uh, Roberto Sella and Eli Culp. I mean, in terms of just having somebody sometimes to listen to, but coach on a neutral basis. Roberto has been unbelievable. We've been business partners for 28 years and friends, and just appreciate the objectivity sometimes, because sometimes I do forget it's a business, I mean, like
Yeah.
you sometimes think of it as a family, but we're not a family. We are a business,
We're a business.
and you have to remember it that way. And Eli, just an incredible visionary and so inspiring. Of course, obviously, after his accident, it's been a very difficult period for him. But just to see him, I makes me so happy to see his podcast thriving. He created a program called the Tasties, which is like a restaurant award program for Philadelphia.
Oh wow.
And just seeing him just expand his network throughout the country is really inspiring also.
I
So
love
for
that.
me, like sometimes my mentors are people that are inspiring to me, that make me feel like I need to rise to the occasion.
And have you been able to pass that on?
Well, I also don't know if you can say, Steve, will you be my mentor? That sounds a little bit.
You could say that. I don't mean to me. I mean, like in general terms.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I obviously I look to you because you're a major success,
Oh, well, thanks.
and just like love how much you give back to the community with Ben's friends and
Yeah.
everything else that you're doing and your leadership conferences. So obviously I look at other people who are role models for me,
Right.
but I think it's really hard to say to somebody, "Will you be my mentor?" Because you have to build trust in a relationship.
Yes.
And so even if you said yes, we would still have a long way to go before I think, in my opinion, it really becomes meaningful. Of course, you could sit down like this and we can chit chat and
Right.
talk about, all my problems and your
I can
problems.
talk about all mine.
But for me, I feel like it's really about connecting with people and finding that point of connection where you really can get that little tidbit from your mentor. And I call tons of people my mentor and they don't even know.
Right. No, I know. I've assigned that role to people, whether they know it or not. What's the word hospitality mean to you?
Hospitality means to me, obviously taking care of people and not expecting anything in return.
I like that. I actually heard a definition of grace once as a gift freely given without expectation of return.
That sounds way better than what I just said, but
No, well, no, it's interesting because I called my book "Say Grace," but it was largely due to that word. So when you look, we all know the challenges in this current environment. We don't know what all the challenges are going to be, but we know they're coming. What's your hope for the industry? What's your hope for the hospitality industry?
just continued resiliency and to not get caught up the in the I mean, okay, everything is always changing no matter what. It's
Right,
life.
right,
We can't control so many things. We're all aging. We can't control that.
right,
We can't control whether we live or die or whatever, and there are going to be some things in the hospitality industry that are going to be unfortunate. And obviously, we have to have a voice for ourselves. I think we learned that during the pandemic is that the
yes,
hospitality industry can have a voice. And we want it to continue to have a voice. And we need to continue doing all the things that we were doing during that time to progress the industry
right.
and to ensure that that our teams are protected. I mean, I think that that's my hope for the industry is that we just continue to thrive in a way that allows our teams to then continue to grow and to have a future in this industry.
What's the thing you're most afraid of?
Retirement.
Is that something you're thinking about?
uh Not quite, but I do think about because I'm not quite your size. I do think
Don't
about
do it. It's a fool's game.
well, I can't. I'm not that I don't know how to manage an organization like that. That's your thing.
I'm learning that every day, Ellen. I'm not sure I do either.
But I think for me, trying to figure out how to create an employee owned situation so
Cool.
that I can pass along the hard work that has been put in by my team members. I mean, many of them are extremely capable and able to run, our business. And
Right.
so, how do I turn that over to them without scaring the shit out of them?
I've asked a few people in my number twos, can I give you the keys? And they're like, nope.
Right.
I turned 55 this year, and it's like mortality is not something. I mean, let's be honest. The restaurant business is a business of youth in a lot of ways. We started in a young ages. You come up through it, and I'm now going. All right, in 5 years, like I'll be 60, and that's certainly not old. But I'm not going to be. How long am I going to run like this? And I've never quite had those thoughts until recently. And Shelby, my wife, has started to say, "Hey, how much longer till you're not on the road every single week?" So yeah,
Well, that I definitely think, quality, however you define your quality of
right.
life.
That's
I
right.
mean, if you love being on the road and you love traveling, do it. But
Right.
I mean, I still love what I'm doing.
Me too.
And I just can't imagine it being any different. But I do also think about that. What does that look like? And, I love coaching people and I love seeing people develop. And I just want to keep doing that no matter what.
All right. One last question. I end every podcast with this question. So I wrote a book, Say Grace. It's the
Mhm.
name of this podcast. And I had somebody that said, aren't you worried that sounds religious? And I said, well, in the South, whenever we were at Sunday supper, we would hold hands and we would say grace.
Mhm.
And really what we were doing was giving thanks.
Mhm.
So what are you thankful for?
I am so thankful that that I was raised in a way that encouraged me to be empowered. I was the first daughter, and my father um, made me think that I can do anything, and I kind of never stopped having that mentality. And I think that that's very empowering, and I'm extremely fortunate for that. But I'm just also so lucky that I'm surrounded by the people that I'm surrounded by. And, I mean, one could say that, you create an environment and people are attracted to that. But I also feel to a certain extent, there is a lot of luck.
Yes.
There's a lot of like unknown, a lot of situations that just happen. And I'm grateful that I've been able to benefit from those.
That's great. Well, Ellen, thanks it's so great to see you again.
Yeah, great to see
We
you.
follow each other on social media and send each other messages. Congrats on all your success.
Thank you, Steve. Congrats on your book.
Oh, thank you.
And, just appreciate so much what you're doing for the industry.
Oh, well, thank you. I feel like it's the least I can do.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. And thanks everybody for tuning in. If you liked what you heard, tell a friend. We're on all the major platforms. Thanks for listening to Hey, Say Grace. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Say Grace, Food for Thought and Hospitality. We hope you join us next time as we continue to dive deeper into the inspirational stories about the transformative power of hospitality.